February 21, 1895, Ludington Daily News, Ludington, Michigan. In a trance 11 years. A French girl subsisting on food injected through a broken tooth. There is a girl named Marguerite Bouillonval at Thenel in the north of France near Saint-Quentin who is reported to have been asleep for the past 11 years. A good deal of doubt has been thrown on this phenomenal slumbering case, not only in Paris, but also in Thenel and its vicinity, where there are two camps, one of the believers and the other of those who maintain that the so-called Sleeping Beauty rises at night and has a good supper. The matter has been investigated by a Parisian who has seen the girl and found her as lean as a skeleton and as stiff as a corpse, but still living, says the London Telegraph. Her mother injects milk, peptone, and sometimes wine through a broken tooth in the girl's mouth. Marguerite Bouillonval made away with the baby 11 years ago, and the gendarmes were sent to her house. The girl was so frightened at their approach that she had an attack of hysteria, which lasted several hours, and at the end of which she fell into a trance. The doubts thrown on the continuation of the trance have evidently been caused by the fact that the mother of the sleeping girl has made a good deal of money by exhibiting her. A local doctor, who has observed the case during the 11 years, informed the investigator from Paris that Marguerite Bouillonval has really been sleeping during the whole time. Occasionally, she had hysterical crises, but did not awake after them. Other doctors have also agreed as to the genuineness of the phenomenon, and the sleeping girl of Thenel remains a human mystery. March 11, 1896. The Carroll Herald, Carroll, Iowa. Burial alive. A dreaded fate which many people do not escape. Many who are not at all afraid to die are afraid of being buried before they have died. The fear is not unreasonable. Premature burial happens very rarely, but often enough to call for more precaution. In British journals, this has recently been much discussed, showing no small uneasiness in the public mind. There was need of it. British law is quite too lax in requiring proof of death before burial. Hundreds of burials take place every year without certificates of death. The London Chronicle reported a dozen recent cases of discovery that supposed death was not actual. The Spectator believes that a distinct percentage of premature burials occur every year. One of its correspondents confesses to a distressing case in his own family. The gruesome fact is that it has always been so. Ancient writers refer to it. Pliny has a chapter on those who have revived on being carried forth for burial. Lord Bacon records that there have been many cases. Bruyère, a French writer in the last century, produced a book on the subject. It mentioned 54 cases of persons buried alive, 53 of revival after being coffined, 72 of mistaken pronouncement that death had taken place, and 4 of persons dissected before they had ceased to live. A noted case occurred under the hands of the distinguished Vesalius, who, having opened a body, found the heart still beating. The case of G. Washington Bishop, the mind reader, is comparatively recent. Not a few persons believe that he was the victim of an autopsy undertaken before he was actually dead. It is a fact that when body snatching by medical students or common robbers was more frequent than now, it occasionally resulted in the rescue from the grave of those that were still alive. Old cemeteries are sometimes removed, and more frequently individual graves are opened for the removal of remains. Then the distressing fact of a premature burial is occasionally revealed. It is stated that in New York, 6 cases in 1,000 have occurred. In Holland, the percentage is 5 in 1,000. Perhaps the Paris morgue is the last place where one might expect to find the living among the dead after the corpse has been examined by both the police inspector and the official surgeon. Yet even there, about 1 in every 300 has come to life again. A recently published work by Dr. F. Hartman strongly draws attention to the danger of dooming to the grave some who have not really died. He has collected over 700 authenticated instances. Of these, he describes 108 as typical cases under the title of buried alive. The danger of premature burial arises from that semblance of death which is popularly termed suspended animation, or trance, and scientifically known as catalepsy. Persons of nervous temperaments are more liable to this than others, and women more than men. In catalepsy, all the signs of death are sometimes present, save the one infallible sign of incipient decomposition. A celebrated case in the last century was that of Reverend William Tennant, a Presbyterian minister in New Jersey, who revived after a 3 days catalepsy, in which he narrowly escaped burial. An account of it, now out of print, was written by Judge Elias Boudinot. The cases of resurrection, or rather resuscitation, mentioned in the Bible as the Shunammite's son and Jairus' daughter, may have been this sort. In Oriental countries, where burial follows quickly after death, the likelihood of premature interment is greater. Mr. T.J. Hudson, in his book, The Law of Psychic Phenomena, refers to a lady, now at the head of a public institute, who has been twice pronounced dead by the attending physicians, twice prepared for the grave, and twice resuscitated by her friends. The London Spectator relates a case in Ireland last September where, upon suspicion of premature burial, the body was disinterred and life restored after lying in the grave from Saturday till Tuesday. Even more remarkable cases are on record. Chicago Record. February 23, 1923, the San Maurice Valley Chronicle, 3 Rivers, Quebec, Canada. Suspended animation, Vancouver World. An extraordinary case comes over the telegraph wire from Phoenix, Arizona. 2 doctors and a coroner pronounced George W. Stevenson dead, but Stevenson's family and friends refuse to permit burial. They believe he is alive, in the peculiar state of suspended animation known as catalepsy. So rests the Stevenson case, as this is written. Remarkable case, you comment? Yet Hudson, celebrated psychic investigator, asserts that there is at least one such case of suspended animation each week on this continent. Washington Irving Bishop, famous mind reader, on several occasions went into a cataleptic state and dumbfounded physicians by coming out of his trance after they had pronounced him dead. There is reason to believe that an autopsy finally was performed on him during one of his trances. Hudson, writing 31 years ago, recorded the following. A lady, now at the head of one of the largest orphan asylums in a western city, has been twice pronounced dead by attending physicians, twice prepared for the grave, and twice resuscitated by her friends. On the last occasion, extraordinary precautions were taken in view of her former experience. Vigorous treatment restored her to consciousness. Upon being restored, the lady declared that she had never for a moment lost consciousness, that she knew all that went on around her, perfectly comprehended the significance of the tests which were applied, but felt the utmost indifference as to the result, and was neither surprised nor alarmed when it was decided that she was dead. According to this, death may not be as unpleasant an experience as most of us fear. Catalepsy has always been the greatest of medical mysteries. In the old days, many cataleptics probably were buried alive. That fate is an extremely remote possibility now, for science has made great strides in death tests.